Okay, hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to the Flaming Brain. And today I'm going to talk about Gordon Cooper, Leroy Gordon, or Gordo Cooper, one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts selected to go on the 7 Mercury single seat rockets to space. And these guys were all test pilots, and test pilots were the badass guys of their time because they were getting in planes that had never been flown before. They didn't even know how they would react, and they were testing them to the limits. And a lot of test pilots died. So anyway, Gordon Cooper was selected in 1959 to be one of the Mercury 7 astronauts. Now, Gordon Cooper was 32 years old when he became an astronaut in 1959 and would later go on to fly the final Mercury capsule, I think it was Freedom 7, into space, marking the last time that anyone would ever go into space all alone by themselves. So that was his first and last Gemini. So these were the original Mercury 7. I can't tell you which is which, but we've got Deke Slayton, Gus Grissom, Wally Schirra, Alan Shepard, Scott Carpenter, and of course Gordon Cooper. So those were America's very first astronauts. Here's an interesting side note. If you watched my video on cosmonaut training, you heard me mention a woman by the name of Wally Funk. Well, Wally Funk, along with 13 other women, were selected also to train for space, and they were called the Mercury 13. Unfortunately, they never got to go. In any extent, I guess you could say that Gordon Cooper, Gordo, really did have the right stuff.
Who was the best pilot you ever saw?
Who was the best pilot I ever saw? Who was the best pilot I ever saw? One pilot I once saw who I think truly did have the
How
right.
close did you ever come?
Who was the best pilot I ever saw? Well, you're looking at him.
So here he is now. This would be Gordon Cooper about 41 years after Dennis Quaid's portrayal of him. Now, I'm really upset about this, but for some reason, the guy that shot this video stayed so far away and without a remote mic, I didn't pick up any sound on this, and it really bums me out that you can't hear a word they're saying until the very end. There's a little bit of sound at the very, very end, and also, I never got a copy of the tape from the Inside Edition people, so I was never able to see the show. It was kind of sad after everything. So I'll tell a little bit of stories here. Do you know Gordon Cooper? He made his solo flight, made 22 orbits of the Earth, and he actually discovered ancient shipwrecks in the ocean floor that he believed contained treasures. And back in, oh, I forget what year, but Discovery Channel did a special called Gordon's Treasures or something where they were trying, it was a 2-season show and they were trying to locate some of the shipwrecks. I don't really know whatever happened, but um, anyway, yeah, he was the last person to go into space all by himself. And he was pretty impressed looking around and seeing all my stuff. And it was cool having him there. Now, this video is normally, this whole thing was 70 minutes, but without any sound, I just didn't see any reason to belabor it. So I'm going to keep this just kind of short, just to more or less to show that he really was there. Now, at this point, I'd also like to bring up another astronaut I met, probably my favorite. See, I met Buzz Aldrin, Gordon Cooper, Pete Conrad, and a guy, Charlie Walker, who used to fly the space shuttle. Oh, and I went to high school with a woman named Susan Helms, and she became an astronaut. And then Eugene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon. But anyway, my favorite was a guy named Pete Conrad, and I met him at the Toy Fair in New York in February of '99 with his wife Nancy. He was there But they were there because she was working on licensing some NASA-themed toys. And as soon as I saw his name badge, I ran up to him and was excited to meet him. And he saw my name badge that I was Rocket Guy, and he was excited to meet me because he had been following my progress. And they were just such nice people. And then about 3 months later, I saw him at a conference on space tourism in Washington, D.C., and he recognized me again before even seeing my name tag, which was really, really cool. But tragically, just 6 weeks later, he and his wife and friends were on a Malibu to Monterey motorcycle trip. He spun out in some gravel in Ojai and died the next day of internal injuries. But anyway, Pete Conrad and Gordon Cooper flew together in Gemini 5. Anyway, getting back to good old Gordo, it was a little bit sad to see this guy. He was 74 at the time, not that old, but I guess he was in the early stages of Parkinson's, because he died only 3 years later in 1990 in 2004 at the age of 77. So anyway, a good life, a great man, um, and yeah, one of those situations of a good life well lived. But coming up here now is the only part where I got some sound. All I can say now is that this has been one of my greatest privileges ever to be here on the Rocket Compound and meet the Rocket Guy. What an amazing, incredible man. A true gift to his nation. I'm sure that someday he'll either do something to save the world or at least make sure that never will Hooters disappear from the face of the earth. And I did get an autographed book from him, The Leap of Faith, from one to one rocket guy from another. Yes, Leroy Gordo Cooper, may you rest in peace.